How many times have you fallen in love, gotten involved, become infatuated, and finally felt alive? And yet, soon after, a problem arises and everything changes. You're there, immersed in an overwhelming emotion, you feel good, you're happy, and suddenly you lose yourself, you forget about yourself, and there you are, living for the other person, depending on every message, every word, every gesture from them. Love lifts you up, but it also scares you. But what exactly is this love that we like so much, yet at the same time scares us and hurts us? In this video, I want to offer you some perspectives, starting from certain situations described by philosophers, psychologists, and spiritual teachers who have given us an interesting glimpse into what we call love, but which perhaps is not really love. If you don't know me, let me introduce myself. I'm Daniela Coin, a professional educator and Jungian coach specialized in male personal and relational growth. So I help men feel better about themselves and, as a result, have more beautiful and healthier relationships with women. Let's start with love as an inner state. Eckhart Tolle said, "Love is not outside of you, it is within you, and you cannot lose it. It does not depend on another person." What does this mean? It means that love is not something that happens to us at the hands of someone else. It is not really the other person who creates love within us. Love is a quality that comes from our presence, from our state of being. When we stop looking for in others what only our own awareness can give us, we discover that in reality we are already love. Anthony de Mello, on the other hand, told us, "Love is nothing but the absence of fears and expectations. It is an empty space in which the other can simply be." And what is de Mello trying to tell us? That to love does not mean to fill a void, but rather to inhabit that void. When we stop demanding, searching, or expecting something, that is when love blossoms. It blossoms in the form of acceptance and becomes a fertile emptiness in which the other can reveal themselves without defenses. And what did Osho say instead? He said, "If you love someone, you do not possess them, you let them be free." Love is freedom, not slavery. How do we know this? We often confuse love with attachment and control. But authentic love does not chain. Authentic love embraces the other person's freedom, even when they make choices different from ours, that is, different from what we want. Eric Barre told us, "Love does not arise from need. Love is silence. It is a space in which you let the other happen within you." What does it mean to let the other happen within us? In the non-dual perspective, to love is not to desire, but to allow oneself to be touched, to allow oneself to be brushed by. Love is not a movement of the body or the mind, as everyone believes, but a state in which nothing is asked for, and everything is given and everything is received. Now let's look at those who have spoken of love as a choice, love as awareness and action. And here we have Erich Fromm, who said, "Love is an art, and like any art, it requires knowledge, commitment, practice, and discipline." What does this mean? It means that love is not blind spontaneity or that intense emotional whirlwind of two lovers who have just met and are already madly in love. According to Fromm, love is emotional competence. It is willpower, and it needs to be cultivated with care like an inner garden. It must be a conscious act of mutual growth, an act of welcoming both oneself and the other person. Carl Gustav Jung also had something to say about love. He said, "Love is a grace that cannot be obtained through effort. It is a gift that is received when one is ready to see the other without projections." What does this mean? We could talk about this for hours, but for Jung, mature love exists when the self does not try to possess, but simply opens itself to the mystery of the other. So for Jung, love is not something to be conquered. It is truly a matter of opening up, an opening of ourselves toward the other person. Osho again tells us, mature love says, "I need you because I love you." It does not say, "I love you because I need you." You understand the difference, right? In the second case, "I love you because I need you," we have an immature love that arises from a sense of lack. So, a person who loves because they are lacking something, whereas mature love is a love that is full, a love that overflows. It is not a love that deprives. Thich Nhat Hanh tells us, to love means to offer someone your own breath, your own calm, your own space. To love is above all to be present. Thich Nhat Hanh was, yes, he passed away recently, a spiritual teacher, if I remember correctly, Vietnamese, who stated that love is born from deep listening, not from what we do, but from what we are, from who we are. So love is not measured in words, but in real, living, and vibrant presence. Now let's talk about love as a mirror, the mirror of who we are, as transformation. And here we can't help but bring up Carl Gustav Jung again, who said, "Every meaningful relationship is a chemistry that changes both people." Nothing is more transformative than authentic love. What does that mean? It means that love is a powerful catalyst because it confronts us with what we don't see in ourselves, and clearly we project onto the other person. In fact, every deep and meaningful encounter, every real love relationship carries with it an opportunity for growth, but it is also a challenge. Many people are not able and not ready to face this inner challenge, and they are not ready to see themselves projected onto the other person, and unfortunately, they run away from this feeling. But in reality, love, as Jung understood it, is an incredibly powerful means of transformation if one knows how to recognize and pursue it. Marie-Louise von Franz, a student and collaborator of Jung, told us, "Through love for another person, we discover the parts of ourselves that we have forgotten or denied." Which is somewhat what I mentioned in the previous statement by Jung. That is, when we fall in love, the other person brings to the surface our inner archetypes, our hidden parts, the things about ourselves that we don't want to see or acknowledge, or in any case, things we need to develop that we are not yet aware of. So love is a journey toward integration and individuation, but only if we know how to walk it in the right way. Jane Selman told us, "The soul chooses the love it needs to evolve, not the one the ego wants." What does this mean? It means that love does not come to give us comfort, but to awaken us. A relationship is not always the safe harbor where we can beach ourselves and just lie there at ease. Many times the soul pushes us toward relationships that challenge us, that hurt us, but that always teach us something. By the way, for everyone who says, "I want a peaceful relationship, I just want to be at peace," I actually talked about this in the video I'm linking up here. If you're one of those people, I recommend you watch it. And now we come to the wise and wonderful Jiddu Krishnamurti, whom I adore, who said, To love is to expect nothing in return. It is like a flower that perfumes even the hand that crushes it. It gives me goosebumps. It's one of the most beautiful phrases ever spoken. Because love, unconditional love, real love, is not fueled by expectations and recognition, but is a pure, selfless gift, given regardless of whether it is on the other side, understood, accepted, or wanted. The hand that crushes, right? And it is this act of loving unconditionally that transforms us, transforming both ourselves and the other person. That is, to love is not to expect something in return. You can love a person even if that person chooses to crush you. Another wonderful phrase, in my opinion, was said by Rainer Maria Rilke, who said, "To love is to guard the solitude of the other," which means that love does not erase distance, but inhabits it. It is the ability to be beside another person without invading them. It is the ability to accept all parts of the other person without demanding to make them different. Now let's look at love as a paradox and as freedom. And once again, let's talk about my friend Jiddu Krishnamurti, who told us, love is freedom. Where there is dependence, there is no love, but fear, and where there is fear, conflict arises. And so here we erase all hopes of having somehow loved, because love is freedom. As we have already said, and let's repeat it, real and pure love is not based on need, but on the freedom to be. And when the other person becomes a lifeline for us, we are not loving, we are just seeking salvation. And keep in mind that this is a very important point, because most relationships are not based on love, but rather on the search for salvation and validation. Even Carl Gustav Jung, and I quote him because you know I adore him, told us, "Love brings the shadow to light." Those who truly love are forced to face their own wounds. And here we return to the earlier concept, that is, love as a psychic force that stirs up our deepest contents. And so it is not simply joy, but also a confrontation with our own and others' integrity. That is, our personal depth and that of the other person. John Gray as well, whom you might know as the author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, told us men and women express love in different ways, but they can learn to communicate with each other. Because he, as you know, has written many books about the simplest way, and also, if you will, a bit superficially, that is, in a very practical way, to integrate parts of oneself through understanding the other person, how the other person works, and through communication. By the way, if you're interested, I discussed everything related to communication and healthy relationships in depth in a dedicated course I taught last year called Classroom Communication. I'll leave the information page for you below here in the description, and I'll also give you a special discount code just for you, since you're a loyal follower of the channel, in case you're interested in improving your communication and your relationships with women. The philosopher Kierkegaard also gives us his opinion on love, telling us, to love means to help the other person be themselves without wanting to change them. Again, helping the other person to be themselves. Be careful, because sometimes helping the other person to be themselves without forcing them to change also means showing them things they are not able to see. And this happens within most relationships and is almost always misunderstood by most of us. It is seen as something bad that is happening, because if the other person does something that bothers me, then surely something is wrong, or so we think. Instead, most of the time, if the other person does something that upsets us, it's because we still need to get to know a part of ourselves that we are projecting outward. And now to finish, let's look at love as a spiritual path. And here we bring up Rumi. I hope you're familiar with him, who said, "It is not love that hurts you, but your resistance to love." What does this mean? That in itself, true love, does not hurt. It cannot hurt. What hurts is the ego breaking in the process of opening up. That is, when our defenses start to crumble, when we begin to see our barriers and have to remove them, and after years and decades of keeping them up, we have to do this work. That is what hurts. The resistance to opening ourselves, to giving ourselves, that is what hurts. And opening up, this whole process, which is also very painful, this is what truly leads to healing. Whereas staying closed off, misinterpreting what is happening, takes us further from healing, even if sometimes it may seem to give us momentary relief, simply because we have removed ourselves from the situation that was causing discomfort. Alan Watts, on the other hand, told us that to love is to let go and flow with what is, not with what we wish it would be. Because so often we have the presumption of knowing how things should be according to us, but in doing so, we end up standing in the way of events. In reality, we almost never truly know what is actually good for us. So for Watts, to love is a yielding presence that embraces the other person and life just as they are. Simone Weil also shared something about love, telling us that to love is to see the invisible, to look at the other with the eyes of the soul. This too is a very powerful concept. That is, love, spiritual love, is a perceptive state, meaning it goes beyond appearances. It is my soul that sees the soul of the other person beyond the mask that person has put on. And when we are able to see the soul of the other person beyond their mask, we can truly love them in any condition, whether they are physically with us or even if they are not. Khalil Gibran told us, "Love gives nothing but itself and takes nothing but from itself. Love possesses not, nor would it be possessed indeed." In other words, the love described by Gibran is sacred, it is free, it cannot be bargained or negotiated, it lives and flourishes only in truth and integrity. Saint Teresa of Avila told us, "Where there is no love, put love, and you will find love." This too, in my opinion, is a disarmingly beautiful phrase, because Saint Teresa tells us that love is not something we receive passively or expect from others, but rather a force that is activated through intention. And even in the most barren places, we can sow presence and care and cultivate love. Nisargadatta Maharaj told us, "Where there is love, there is no I." Love dissolves separation. That is, love, true love, transcends our individual identity. Here we're going a bit further because we're talking about love in a truly universal and complete sense. So for Nisargadatta Maharaj, love is union, a conscious merging with something greater than the ego. So he is talking about something that goes beyond the concept of earthly love, the sentimental kind between two humans. And almost lastly, second to last, let's see what Plato said. We couldn't leave out Plato. He said, "Love is the desire for eternal beauty and goodness. It is a sense of lack that leads us to transcendence." Plato too didn't take it lightly, because Plato is also talking about spiritual eros. He isn't talking about eros between two people, but about love understood as a divine union. So he is talking about that kind of love that moves us from the flesh to the soul, that is, from the immanent to the ideal. And finally, once again, Marie-Louise von Franz, who told us that every love relationship is an opportunity to encounter the self, and it is through the other that we return home. So she too is talking to us about love in its most mature and spiritual form, and therefore not between two people, but between two souls, between two or more souls that help each other become whole. And the soul as well, that unites without duality with other souls and with the universe. I know these discussions are quite complex, but I hope they have been useful to you both from a more practical, emotional, and simple perspective of love between two people, let's call it that, as well as from the more spiritual and profound perspective of individuation and self-knowledge. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and let me know in the comments if you identify with any of these quotes, or if you've done the exact opposite of what all these great figures in spirituality, philosophy, and psychology have suggested. Let me know what you think about love. And finally, if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll leave the subscribe button here in the center, and up here I'll leave 2 videos for you to explore these topics further.